The Ohio State Buckeyes returned Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate, 2 starters, and they helped Ohio State score 33 out of their 37 passing touchdowns last year. Or, yeah, I think it was 33. It may have been less than that. I think that's including the running backs, Henderson and Judkins. But Henderson and Judkins were so athletic that, I mean, Henderson at times looked like he had the speed of a receiver and the capabilities of being a receiver for sure. And Judkins had some nice routes for touchdowns. I remember against Nebraska, he had one of those out of the backfield that was beautiful. So maybe not 33 to 37 passing touchdowns, but certainly close. I mean, they were as they usually always are, the bell cow of the Ohio State offense, the leaders of the Ohio State offense, the best of the Ohio State offense. So taking a deeper look at this unit and what it can do this year and who the starters, who the contributors will be, we obviously have to talk about Jeremiah Smith, who had 1,315 receiving yards, averaged 7.3 yards per reception with 15 touchdowns, 89.7 PFF grade. It's just crazy. 6'3", 215 pounds. That was last season. He's probably heavier, might even be an inch taller now. 101 overall recruit per 24/7 Sports. One of the best recruits ever in the history of the recruiting era. Before we resume this segment, please take a few seconds of your time to make sure you have liked the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell for the channel and for any team podcasts and playlists linked in the description, and also comment your thoughts down below in the comment section and join my Discord server via the description. All of those things I just asked you to do are completely free, and they sign you up for things related to my channel, or they don't sign you up for anything. No cost to you, and all the benefit to you because we release daily college football content here on College Football with Sam. If you want to support the channel monetarily, sign up for a YouTube membership or check any other links in the description for my merchandise store and Patreon page. Thank you very much, and let's get back to the segment. And he's shown it on the field even as a true freshman. I expect him to have a big year. Definitely over 1,000 receiving yards in the regular season. He could surpass that because I don't quite know if Inniss is going to be better than Tate. Or not better than Tate, but better than Ibuka. I don't know if anyone below Smith will be better than Ibuka. I'm not quite there yet to make a prediction on whether they will or not. It's just intuitively, will one of them be? Will both of them be? I don't know. Ibuka was reliable, was the oldest of the bunch, is going to be older than anyone on the roster right now than he was last season. So that probably means, I think, more targets for Smith, more receiving yards for Smith, more touchdowns in the regular season. And with Hartline calling plays, I expect them to be a little bit more friendly towards the pass, especially in the regular season compared to what they wanted to do last year. Tate had 733 receiving yards, 14.1 yards per reception, and 4 touchdowns with a 70.1 PFF grade. 6'3", 191 pounds, and a 5-star out of high school with a 98 overall grade per 24/7 Sports. Inniss at 176 yards and a touchdown, a low PFF grade at 62.2. 6 foot, 203 pounds, almost a 5-star out of high school per 24/7 Sports with a 97 overall. Graham is a 5-star out of high school, same with Quincy Porter, and Bryson Rodgers was a lower 4-star. They have not played all that much. Rodgers had 46 receiving yards last year, but overall they haven't played much. Porter's 6'4", Graham is 6'1", Rodgers is 6'2". Wouldn't be surprised if Chris Henry Jr. was like 6'5" or 6'6" when he comes in. I mean, he is just tall. He's a redwood. That's what he is. It's like the tallest tree of all the tallest trees. And this wide receiver group is tall. They are big, they are fast. I would not be shocked if all of them one day end up drafted. And that's pretty admirable, especially when you look at the bust rate of different players and position groups and the fact that I'm including Bryson Rodgers in that conversation. And he was not, he was a low-level 4-star, not a 5-star out of high school. And it's harder for those players to get to the draft than the 5-stars typically. So that would be particularly impressive. I think that Smith and Tate are surefire first-rounders. Confident Porter will be one day. I'd say Graham and Inniss, just based on Hartline's reputation, are likely to be. Look, is this receiver room better than 2021? I certainly think it's better than last year's group. solely based on depth and Jeremiah Smith getting that much better, and Carnell Tate likely getting that much better. They return the majority of their receiving production. So even if they don't have a number 2 as good as Ibuka, their number 1 will be better, and their number 3 on down will be better. So it's a better unit than that one. It's better than 23. It's probably better than 22, given the injury there. Is it better than 21? I think if not this year, it certainly will be next year, when Smith will be a junior. Tate probably is gone after this year, but you never know. Ibuka returned after 2023. And then you'll have Graham and Porter with another year under their belt. You'll have Chris Henry Jr. as a true freshman. It could be this year. It could be better than the 2021 group. If not, I think it will be in 2026. And as always, they will break games open. Hartline, I think, can maximize them better since he has a connection with them. If he's an elite play caller, he will maximize them better than Kelly did. And if the rest of the offense is great or elite, you're talking about an offense that I don't think can be stopped by anyone who doesn't have a generational or near generational defense. And recently, because the sport has become more defensive, you've seen about one of those defenses a year, or sometimes 2. Or I think in 2023, you had like 3 or maybe even 4. You had so many good defenses that year. So many of them with future NFL players. I mean, Iowa's defense in 2022 and then Georgia's those years, those were generational, or at least close to it. The game has definitely become more defensive. But Ohio State, I think, in a certain sense, is an exception to that when you look at their offense. They love to use those receivers. Game control, they've tried so many times under Day to be more of a game control offense, and I don't think it fits them well. Because even if the O-line is elite, Ohio State's O-line will never be as good as this receiver group will. I mean, no unit that Ohio State has, none, outside of maybe last year's running back starters, come close to what Ohio State's had at receiver under Hartline ever since the 2021 season. And, you're just, I don't think you're going to get that. Like, as long as you have Hartline there, being that offense that loves to strike deep, that sometimes likes to, use tempo, that loves to, just score at such a demoralizing quickness, is incredible to watch. I mean, what they did in the playoffs was night and day from what they were doing in the regular season, when they wanted to run a spread option and they couldn't. And even when the offensive line was elite before the injuries, I would argue even then that game control scheme was inferior to the scheme they used in the playoffs, where they could just take over with those receivers. So if the O-line improves, running back reloads, Sayin is more talented than Howard, and if he plays to that, and tight end's obviously upgraded, then this offense can be better than last year's. It's realistic. And I think there's not a lot of risk in that Hartline hire, because if he is bad at play calling, then Day can just call the plays. And I love Day's play calling. I think he's one of the best play callers in the sport. So, or maybe they switch to Tyler Bowen, and maybe he works. And then if he doesn't, then Day at that point will be like, okay, yeah, I have to call plays. There's a lot going for this offense already, and wide receiver completely opens it up. Think about it this way. I watched Ohio State's playoff run in highlights a few weeks ago. They were the only team at all times who could get out a competent, effective pass within 2 seconds of the ball being snapped. And very few teams can do that, especially in the playoffs where you're playing good defenses. And for Ohio State, it mostly did not matter, with the exception of the Texas game at times. They could get the ball out quickly, even downfield, because their receivers are that good, and there are so many of them. And also Howard was good, the tackles played well, and the tight ends were even playing well at that point. Just everything was working, but especially the receivers and quarterback and running back were. Looking at this unit, I think it will retain its status or improve. I don't think it'll drop off compared to last year. Every single player, Inniss, Tate, Smith, and Graham should improve. Quincy Porter Jr. already lost his black stripe. Bryson Rodgers should improve. And how this all ties in the schedule is, let's just talk about the 3 big games. Texas week 1, Penn State week 10, Michigan week 14. The way those teams are beating Ohio State is they're going to do it through game control. And if Ohio State plays game control in those 3 games, my estimation is that they will lose at least 2 out of 3. Could lose 3 out of 3. Maybe they'll only lose 1 out of 3. If they decide to go through the air, doesn't mean they'll win all three or even one out of three. Because, heck, I mean, Texas or Penn State could just be that good this year to where even if Ohio State is really good on offense, they lose those two. But your best chance at beating Michigan for the first time since 2019 is becoming like this team that just throws it all across the field, because Michigan's DBs are nowhere close to your wide receivers. In fact, it's the case with every team you'll play. You will always have a wide receiver advantage with your offense over the opposing DBs. Always. With how Hartline has recruited and built this room, as long as he's there coaching wide receiver, you will never have a disadvantage, ever, at wide receiver versus DB. Never, never, never. And I'm confident in saying that. That is how this plays in with the schedule. That's why this team can go 12-0, even though they went 10-2 last year. That's why they can go 11-1. It is why they could beat Texas out of the gate week 1, even though I think Texas is bigger in the trenches, a little bit more experienced, and has a good amount of advantages. The home field advantage, but more importantly, the wide receivers who can, like that, score. And now you're down. Or now you're down by double digits. And for Penn State, it's kind of the same thing. Penn State does not have the receivers you do. They don't. And Michigan certainly does not. I mean, Michigan versus Ohio State's corners, that is a disadvantage with their receivers, and then they also have a disadvantage at DB versus Ohio State's wide receivers. It just, if Ohio State plays their cards right, granted if quarterback is good or great, but it should be, then they will have an advantage in every game they play through the air. They will. It's the glorious thing about having Brian Hartline as your wide receivers coach. He's the best positional coach probably in the history of college football at this point. And Jeremiah Smith is going to be the best wide receiver prospect in the history of the sport, minus like maybe Calvin Johnson. It's absolutely crazy. And then Tate's a first rounder. Inniss could be a Graham. I don't think he'll play a ton this year, but he'll play some. And Porter lost his black stripe, so he could play as well. I would not be shocked if even with the tight end they have, or the tight end room they have, it wouldn't shock me if they went 5 wide at different points. Like, they could absolutely tear up teams doing that, for sure. This unit is going to be the best receiver group in America by a mile, like it was last year, especially if you care about depth, or especially if you care about wide receiver 1. It will be the best. And add on top of that, with Day's acumen and with the other positions on offense, they should hum. This offense, especially the wide receivers, will be like a hummingbird. You'll see it, then you don't, and then you look up and you say, oh crap, my team is already down, and it feels like kickoff was just 60 seconds ago. Thank you for watching College Football with Sam. Make sure that you've liked the video, subscribed to the channel, hit the notification bell for the channel and team playlists and podcasts in the description, join the free Discord server where we talk college football 24/7, and have commented your thoughts down below. Check out the description for any ways you can support the channel monetarily. Everything else I've asked you to do is completely free, and your support means the world to me. We're trying to become the next big thing on college football YouTube. 6-figure subscribers, maybe 1 million one day. I think we can do that. And also check out any videos or playlists, anything in these columns right here, where there will be videos and playlists. Yeah, you get the point. Have a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next one.